All right, I think we're live action now. Let's check it out. Are we live? We're still checking it on, guys.
Probably not. Yep, you're live.
All right.
You got 4 people watching.
All right, we got 4 guys. We got people coming in. Welcome. Marc Mills here with Daiwa. We got
Alex Plambeck.
Alex Plambeck talking some Daiwa here for the next hour for CCA. Beautiful Dana Point Harbor, sitting on the boat, better than sitting in the house. We'll try to social distance, but it is what it is. But we're happy to be out here, and we're here to take some questions, see what people are interested in. We can talk all kinds about stuff. What are we going to talk about, Alex?
Today we're going to be talking about inshore fishing, fishing at the islands, what's going on at Catalina, San Clemente Island, and then also what's going on below the border with the bluefin tuna and the gear you guys need to get out there and catch some fish.
Yeah, even a little bit of rockfish information, all kinds of stuff. So if you have some questions, things are starting to pop up. Alex is going to be the actual overall video monitor here, because we have it all set up back and forth.
Yep. Let's see here. Not sure if I can see the comments coming.
All right, maybe it's the only comments are on here. So I'm going to kind of come in and come out. So, hey, Jason, what's up, buddy? How you doing? What's going on, guys? Frank's on there. Uh-oh, that's scary. Ronald, all right. Chris, hey, how you doing, guys? Welcome. Look at this. Couldn't ask for a better backdrop. So as we know right now, Southern California, we'll wait to see some of the comments. Southern California, we've got a little bit of red tide around. But according to the guys today, they said the fishing's pretty good out there. Good bass fishing on the beach.
Yeah.
So
water's warming up.
Water's warming up. I think the water in some spots is almost 70 degrees. We've had a little wind down here lately, but great for bass fishing. Some of the guys bass fishing using the Proteus rods. I'm a big coastal fan. I like that coastal reel. I use it for everything, fishing SBS, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, definitely inshore fishing. We're going to start off talking about that. So calico bass fishing along the coast. We have some new products that we launched at Fred Hall we're going to walk you guys through, but water's starting to warm up locally. Bass are starting to move up in the water column, so we're going to walk you through a setup that we like to use during this time of the year. It's going to be our Lexa 300. Fishing it on a Proteus inshore rod if you want to grab that.
Yeah, sure.
Show you guys the setup we're using. So we're fishing, there's not much kelp left on the coastline. A lot of that warm water killed off a lot of that kelp, so we're fishing a lot of hard bottom. We just got a popper tight on there, but
probably not the ideal calico lure right now, but hey, when they're biting, right?
Exactly.
Larry Brown's on there. So this is the new Lexa Wind. So you guys are very familiar with Lexa Wind. It's been out there for the last couple years. It had the blue accents and blue knobs. We toned it down a little bit. We've done some different stuff to the reel. So we went to kind of a pearl gray look to it. Sometimes the blue is a little bit vibrant for everybody else. The pull kind of the gray pearl looks cool. We've kind of changed from the black to kind of a dark, deep battleship gray on that. We've done some other things to it, Alex. Can you tell them what's going on? So what else have we done here to the Wind?
Other big upgrades. You're going to notice the star drag. We went to a more ergonomical, easier to access the star drag. We also went to the bearings. We changed some of the bearings in there to a grease bearing instead of an oiled bearing. So that is now, dialed in for your calico bass and even light inshore for yellowtail and barracuda, things like that.
Yeah, we've also upgraded the clutch spring and the clutch itself. Like any type of reel that you're throwing really heavy baits, tends to wear on the clutch. So we've improved the spring. It's a harder spring. What's cool is that you can actually on the Lexas push it down and pull it up just like that. But it's a harder spring. But over and above that, the overall design of the clutch lever has improved. We've actually raised it so it can't pop off or anything of that nature. I'm not saying we've had a lot of problems with it, but there has been some issues, mainly for some people that have big hands and trying to push the lever down and try and bring it up at the same time. But we fixed that issue and really have made a great product out there. Lexa Wind and the grease bearings and everything make a big difference. Very quiet and overall been a pretty solid reel. And now these things catching all kinds of fish on calico bass, sand bass, tuna, you name it.
Yeah, so as you guys know, we've had red tide the last couple weeks. That's been a big impact on our coast. Luckily, that's starting to move out. We had a big south swell this last week, so that's starting to push out the red tide, so the fishing's going to continue to improve. Water temps are almost up, high 60s, almost to 70 degrees right now, so bass fishing could, really break loose here in the next week.
Cool. Excellent. Uh-oh.
I have all the comments.
You got them on there?
Yep.
All right, perfect, excellent.
No one's asked a question yet.
All right, well, also right now, we're talking about the islands. The islands are starting to turn on as well. So everybody knows this time of year, especially if things have been tough, people want to get out there, get a little extra food. The rock fishing has been amazing out there.
Yeah.
And even on the beach here, rock fishing's been good. Lots of reds, you know, cacio, all that kind of stuff. We came out with a new jig this year that we brought out.
Yeah, we introduced a jig. We've actually had it in the past. We brought it back. It's called the Rock Rover. In the past, it was known as the Bala jig or the Pirate jig. Mark's going to give you a close-up look.
Maybe here. So it looks just like that. You can hook it 2 different ways. You can hook it here on the nose, and you can hook it here right on top of the yellow area there. It actually makes the jig flutter differently, fall differently. Obviously, like this, it's going to fall flatter. Like this, it's going to be more of a slow drop. As you pull it up off the bottom, it'll either come down fast or go down slow. But then you've got the double hook coochie rig on it, and it really, really works good for the reds and stuff like that.
Yep. And we also designed a rod specifically for that jig. It's called the Elevate rod.
And these are the Elevate rods right here.
It's got a cool color to it, kind of that rockfish color. And what's really unique about this rod, it has a really soft tip, but then has a lot of backbone. So Mark will try and get the rod in there. But
so I may have the tip there, real soft tip, but then it shuts down a lot. And the benefit of that is, so when you're actually bouncing this thing on the bottom and you get those soft bites, that you really don't want to catch that fish, to allow the fish to peck through that, you can slowly wind it, and as it loads up, you can start to catch some of those bigger reds or rockfish, or in other parts of the country, other types of fish that are on the bottom. I use on this, actually, I use very light line. I tell people, you can't believe how light I use. I use 10-pound J-braid, and then I use about a 25-pound piece of fluorocarbon. The reason I use such light J-braid is that, number one, it's really tough to break braided line when it's spliced on there or tied on there, but it allows me to use a much lighter lure and get down to the bottom faster. The difference in diameter really makes a difference when you're fishing 200, 300, 400 feet of water. So that 10-pound, pretty much catch anything out there, big ling cod, reds, and everything else. That fluorocarbon leader gives you abrasion resistant for any type of chattering of the teeth. I do like to put on these at the very end, you can see I use a little tiny clip. Allows it to fall a little bit better, but allows me, I don't know what it is with rock fishing, color makes a difference. So I change these things up a lot. Once they start getting bit and I stop getting bit, I'll switch it off, change color, and they start biting that.
Definitely. All right, we got a couple of questions that came in. The first one is, what has the red tide done for the halibut fishing? Has it affected it at all? Our red tide on the west coast or California here is a little bit different than the red tide they get on the east coast down in Florida. Our waters are a lot deeper, so the red tide doesn't affect our fishery as much as their red tide because their water is a lot shallower. That being said, the red tide doesn't go down all the way to the bottom. So halibut fishing should be still pretty good if you guys are getting out. I know some people have been catching the halibut up in the Long Beach area. There's halibut up and down the coast, so get some fresh sardines and get out there with your reverse dropper loops, however you guys like to fish, and bounce balling is another good technique. You guys get out there, and yeah, the halibut are biting still.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing right now on the halibut is that the people that are fishing are being quiet, and there's just not a lot of people fishing on for them. So I got reports here this week that actually red tide is sitting at about 10 feet. Now, I don't know about confirming that, but they said that's about 10 feet of water column, and then it clears back up again. That would probably explain why the bass fishing's been pretty darn good, is that they don't like that red tide, but underneath that, it's kind of normal.
Yeah.
So I think it's just volume of people.
Yeah, and one thing on the halibut fishing is pay attention to the moon phase. We've had a full moon recently, so those halibut could be pushing a little bit shallower up on the beach, whether there's a grunion run or not. Once that moon phase goes away, look out a little bit deeper. We like to fish halibut even 100, 150, 200 feet deep, so don't be afraid to push out deeper. Look for some of those larger models out deep.
Yeah, a few years back, people stayed in that 60, 65 depth of water, and then in the last couple of years, it's got to 85, 90. Some people would freak out and say 100. Now it's 100, 110, 200 feet. So I think we're just learning now a little bit how those fish migrate throughout the water a little bit more.
Cool. One viewer here wants to know more about our hard baits. We do have some of our Salt Pro Minnows here we want to show you guys. We have some new colors that we introduced recently that have been really successful for guys fishing bass at the islands, yellow at the islands. Some really cool colors that no one else has on the market right now. So Mark will go over.
Go through that, or you want me to go through it?
Yeah, I can go over them. So these are actually some new colors that we designed. This one's called Toothpaste here. Really cool, kind of a Colgate toothpaste color. This one's really good for calicos and yellows, barracuda, bonita. Pretty much catches everything. Looks like a hot sardine in the water. We also have some other colors. We make this in a mint, which is just a little bit lighter green color. And then we have some other West Coast focused surface iron colors like Wounded Soldier. We have a Senorita fish color, which is really good. But this Colgate or toothpaste color and the mint are my two favorites.
I like my Cannibal Calico, but all around pretty good. So this has been an amazing way how these hard baits have become popular. I'll be honest with you. I myself got into fishing hard baits with most people out here very familiar with Ben Seacrest. Ben and I used to go out when I was a little kid 30 years ago, and he used to take me up in Laguna and throw Rapala jerkbaits, and we'd kill them. And it's funny over in the last 5-6 years how this has turned on and became a really good bait. I mean, they've always caught fish, but it's taken a group of people to realize how well they catch fish and how to fish them. This is another bait that you need the right rod. You want a rod that's a little bit of softness so you can make that jig work well, but it's done good. They're catching tuna on these things now. They're catching yellowtail, calico bass, you name it. And before, you just have to be careful. You got 2 hooks flying around, but I think that the deckhands and stuff on the sport boats, just like braided line, you can't use braided line. Nobody can use braided line. I think they've learned how to control these jigs and control the people using them that make it a good sport boat jig too now.
Yeah, definitely catching on. Cool. We have a question from Larry Brown, which will kind of segue into our
good
next
old Larry. I know Larry.
topic.
How's it going, buddy?
He says a lot of long-range anglers are getting older. Some are quitting due to not having the stamina to fish yo-yo iron for yellowtail or tuna. Would you suggest a line of electric reels to help these anglers keep fishing for a few years?
100%. This is a very interesting growing field. It's been very popular on the East Coast and in the Southwest. I travel a lot in my job, and we've seen it start to grow, but in the last few years it's grown here. And the reason that it's grown here is that we've used them now for kite fishing. You're seeing them for the swordfish guys, but everybody's using the big reels. So 2 years ago we decided to bring out some different size reels, even down to, I'm going to show you guys here in a second, smaller reel. Now, what it is on the senior side of it is that people think it's electric reel. You only have to use, the electric handle. It's a reel. It has power. It has torque. It's got plenty of drag pressure, but it will give some of these gentlemen that are getting a little older in years, fishing, on a 24-hour trip up and down yo-yo fishing at some of the different spots, Alejos, a little bit of opportunity to reel it up and down. Many of the high-end reels, like our Seaboards, have jigging features. So I can bring over the kite one, or do you have one set up on this?
Grab that 500 just to show them the size.
So this is our smallest size. This is the 500 size. And many of you guys know me. I'm not a big guy. I don't have big hands. But look at that. I can sit there and palm it really nicely. So it allows me to actually go fishing, or I can sit here and use the lever just like this. But I can sit here with this rod, and this is a perfect rod for it. It's Proteus 7-foot XXH. So it's actually perfect for dropping yo-yo iron, any of the type of SK jigs or anything like that. Yep. And it's still got plenty of power. You're going to have somewhere around 30-35 pounds of torque with a monetary winding power, which is an immediate range of winding power up to like 100 pounds. So it's got plenty of power to catch any type of yellowfin tuna, not huge ones when it comes into this size reel, but probably up to 80 or 100 pound class. But you can catch all the yellowtail that you could possibly want. Another reel that we have that's a little bit more powerful and a little faster is, and I have this on a kite setup, but this will still give you the same scenario. This is a Seaboard, and I'm trying to look at it here. Once again, small, easy to hold. This is a 500 size. This is a much faster reel. As you can see, it's a little bit more high end. It's a lot of different buttons. There's jigging buttons, so you can relate on how your jig wants to go. But over and above all this, it's kind of the next part, Alex, and you have one here and I have one. Yep. It's how you deal with it at the rail. So obviously on a big sport boat, you can't just plug in a big giant car battery and walk around. I mean, everybody would kill you. So you got to have the opportunity to use something light. I right here have this set up with one of these Dakota power boxes, kind of small. I put inside there 25 amp fuse, and literally when it's in, I'll turn it on. You can watch here. as soon as I turn it on right there, I've got right there power, and it will actually pretty much fish all day long. At the end of the evening, you can actually charge this up, or you can just grab another battery, drop it in this box, and literally it weighs about 2 pounds. What are the other options?
Yeah, the other options are a motorcycle battery. You can go to your local Walmart. That's what I do. I have a motorcycle battery here in this little cooler. So this is a hard cooler with a cover. Here's the motorcycle battery. I'll take it out to show you guys. So this is the motorcycle battery that we're using. This will last you pretty much all day, whether you're using electric reels for sword fishing, deep dropping, rock fishing, or like Mark said, you can use these now for, you know, yo-yo fishing and some of the other applications. So this is what I use, this battery here, and then it just fits in this. This is a hard case cooler here. You can get this at Walmart too. Just fits right in there. You can keep that on, you know, the sport boat right next to you, or on your private boat. Just keep it off the deck a little bit. So yeah, that's what I use.
So there's a lot of options, you know. They don't always have to be in the same scenario. And this is, we'll show you the difference here. The 500 size, 750 size. So 750 is considerably bigger. And then we do make a 1000 and a 1200 size in this as well.
Cool. Someone had a question about what rod we're using with the Lexa 300 for calicos from the jerkbait and stuff. We use either a Proteus inshore rod or a DXSB swim bait rod. So they're pretty price, you know, effective, anywhere from 100 to 200 bucks. Proteus are really nice. I fish the DXSBs as well. This is a 7.6. We like either a 7.6 or an 8 foot.
Yeah, that's mine. And for the jerkbait, I use the 7.6. I'm not a tall guy, so as far as jerkbaiting and tipping down, I'll use the 7.6. But on all actuality, for, you know, anything else, I like an 8 foot. We do make an 8.6 for other things, but my personal favorite is our 8 foot medium rod. I don't even use a medium heavy. I use one rod. I got 7 of them. That's all I use.
Yep. Alrighty. I think we're pretty much through the questions. If you guys have any questions, continue to ask them, but we're going to keep on going with, you know, what's going on out there in the ocean right now at the islands. So at the islands, at Catalina, San Clemente Island, the yellowtail are starting to show up. Most of them are 10 to 15 pounds. They're biting live squid, sardines, but they're also biting the lures a little bit. Surface iron, salt pro minnows like we talked about, and then the SK jigs. If you find them in a little bit deeper water, you can yo-yo them up. So we'll go into a setup that you guys can use for yo-yo fishing. If you find those yellows out in deeper water, anywhere from, you know, 80 to 150 feet of water, a lot of the time they're going to be stacked up on the bottom. So what we like to do is we like to get a mid-length rod, like a 7.6 heavy, and pair it up with like a Saltis 35 or 40. And we'll fish a SK jig anywhere from 100 gram to 250 gram, depending on how deep it is. What you want to do is you want to move the hooks from the bottom to the top. So you can see we have the SK jig right here. This happens to be a glow-in-the-dark one that's also really good for tuna at night. So we move those hooks to the top of the jig. Normally they're on the bottom here. So we move them to the top so the jig doesn't tangle as you retrieve it. So with this setup right here, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to drop this SK jig all the way till it hits the bottom, and then just crank as fast as you can. You want to get, you know, about 3/4 of the way up. If you wind all the way up, that's okay, but you want to cover pretty much all the water column, at least the bottom half to 3/4 of the water column with this jig. And they're just going to hit this on the way up, just like a, you know, a yo-yo iron that you guys are familiar with.
You can actually, if you want to keep it on the bottom too, if you're on a big drift, say there's a lot of wind and you're on a lot of drift, and you're covering a big, long drift, I like to switch it on the flip side. I'll put it back down to the bottom of the jig, drop it down, let it hit the bottom, you know, reel it up, but you'll get a better angle on the jig, so the jig won't be vertical with that drift, so you'll get that angle like this. And fortunately, those SK jigs swim on the way back up just as good on the way down, so they will swim like a surface iron on the way back up. So as you're with that angle, you'll have them coming up like this rather than up and doing weird stuff. So it's another way to fish it, and that allows you to have fun, get a pair of split ring pliers, and figure it out. And fish want different actions, so you never know how it's going to work for you. And you could go be the guy that gets 1 or 2 bites, and switch it around and be the guy that's got 7 or 8 fish on the boat. So you just never know.
Yep. One person did have a question about the Tanacom 500, if it has an internal battery. It does not have an internal battery. In order to make it nice and compact, you still need to use that external battery. There are some smaller battery packs that are sold aftermarket that you can clip on, so you don't have a battery pack, but they don't last as long as the larger batteries, so we tend to use the larger motorcycle sized batteries.
Yeah, especially for
question.
the big stuff too. That's a great question. But if you guys are fishing, say, swordfish and heavy weights, say you're fishing 8 or 10, you're definitely going to want to use that bigger battery because of just purely the draining power that happens with those.
Cool. And then someone wanted to know what rod we're pairing with. This is a Saltist. This happens to be a 35. I like the 35 or the 40 for yo-yo and surface iron. And then they wanted to know what rod this was. This is our Proteus wind rod. It has the wind grip on there. This happens to be a 7.6 heavy. So that's the model that I would recommend for yo-yo fishing. 7 foot or 7.6 heavy is nice. Okay, cool. Let's see if any other questions. Nope, they just want to know about the setups mostly.
Yeah, and anybody that is fishing over the island right now, surface iron fishing's been pretty good. I don't know if you had one all set up there as well. I was over there the Saturday before last, slid over the island. It was fun, got to drive in the fog for 60 miles and the fog never lifted. But I think there was quite a few other guys fishing SBS over there and stuff as well, part of the team. But it was really good surface iron fishing. I mean, that's all I threw, and it was like every cast for an hour until I had to leave, go catch some rockfish because I had a party that night. So
yeah, so we do have a surface iron setup we'll show you guys. For surface iron, I like fishing the Saltiga. This one's going to be machined aluminum versus the Saltis's die cast aluminum. That's the main difference. Also has a little bit different handle here, and it has a clicker on the cast control, which is nice, so you can tune that in really easily. This is also on one of those Proteus wind rods I mentioned. This is our jig stick, which is a 810. This one's actually 8 foot, but I fish it on an 810 heavy or medium heavy, depending on the iron that I'm throwing. Really nice setup.
I myself use Alexa 400. I'm big into that reel. I like the 400s. That's what I throw all my surface iron on. And I like the 6-to-1. I think the 7's a little fast. The 8's way too fast, but I like that 6-to-1 ratio. It seems to be nice when it comes to that.
Cool. Yeah, so Catalina is really turning on right now. The water's warming up, clearing up over there. There's some sea bass on the west end and the east end. And then there's some yellowtail on the front side and the back side. So just got to find the right conditions with the current and the clean water. And, you know, get lucky that you're in the right place at the right time. But
yeah. And like I said, that's the thing too. I think that there's not a lot of boats over there right now.
Yep.
So and the guys that are fishing are, for the most part, being quiet.
Yep. Cool.
Hopefully people are going to be able to get out on sport boats soon. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. God, I hope that the sport fishing fleet gets to start fishing here the 1st of June. I sympathize for all of them. I've been in that category, working down here for 15 years. I know how tough it is. I've been there before, and hopefully we can get it going.
Cool. Dana War Sport Fishing wants to know, how do we join CCA? Can you provide the link?
Well, I think go onto onto this. Actually, you have it here. You can ask them and get the link. I don't have it in front of me right now.
Yeah, we can definitely post it in here, but definitely go on the CCA website. We have a lot of different events throughout the year. It's definitely worthwhile to be a CCA member. They're fighting for our rights to fish, fighting for the bait that we use every day and the fishery that we have and the areas that we're allowed to fish. So
yeah, there's so many levels that the average consumer or the average angler just doesn't know about that they work with, and they work hard at it. It's I can't say it's a thankless job because we all have to thank them, but they have to put in a lot of effort to keep this thing going for us and keep our fisheries going.
Cool. One other question we got is, what's your favorite spinning setup for throwing poppers on tuna?
All right, you want to go with it? Go ahead.
So what I like to use is a Saltist or Saltiga 5000 on a Proteus 8 foot heavy. Caught a lot of big bluefin on that. We have a popper that we make called the Mabachi popper. So I usually fish 65-pound braid on that setup to a heavy leader, anywhere from 80 to 130 pound, depending on the size of the fish. Just a short 3 foot leader, so it's not going through the guides. You definitely want that leader on there, some sort of shock absorber, and
visual release. What size leader are you as far as pound test?
80 to 130 pound, depending on the size of the fish. But most of the bluefin that are out there right now, they're 70 to 200 pounds. So you're going to want to use a heavier leader. You don't want to get chewed off.
Yeah.
But
And
that's the spinning outfit that
I will
like.
say too, if you're out there throughout that day and you're not getting bit on it, go down to 60.
Yeah.
There's the difference between 60 and 80. And it may just not be, oh, they're not eating the poppers. They just may not be eating that weight of line. It does happen.
Yeah.
I've been on long range trips that was like that. Because everybody's using 130 and one guy drops down to 80 and he's the one getting all the bites and nobody can realize it. And then we find out at the end of the trip that he was the one using such light line.
Yeah.
So that happens.
As you guys know, when you're tuna fishing, they can be really finicky or they can be full speed. They can eat, everything in the corner, or you can throw 15-pound at them and they won't eat it. So
they could be on a skip pop where you're just boom, 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 skipping it, or it could be a hit and let it sit, let it weight go out, pop it again, and it just depends on what they're on. It's almost that's where bass fishing guys like to freshwater bass fish, is that these fish they change so much, and being able to adapt throughout the day is very important. Don't just get stuck in one pattern.
Yeah, so CCA actually just posted the link, so if you guys aren't
awesome.
the CCA member, go ahead and click that link right there and join. Support a great cause, great organization, and if there's one group that you guys should be a part of, it's CCA, because they really support what you guys love to do. You wouldn't be watching this if you didn't love to fish. So.
No, and we all know how it is when you can't fish, because it's been like that almost all season this year. So we all know that is, but imagine if we didn't have this and you couldn't fish. So that's a whole other perspective that we don't want to get into.
Cool. Chris is asking, what's the go-to setup for calicos at Cedros?
Well, Cedros, depending on what you do, that place is phenomenal. I've been there a bunch of times. That's where you want to step in, get out of the medium-sized rod that I was talking about here on the West Coast, and go into that, at least medium heavy, but heavy or extra heavy 8-foot rod. Have a surface iron set up, but I know according to all the guys that I talk to who's been doing the Cedros Adventures and all the events over there and flying in, I've done all my trips on long-range boats, but Salt Pro Minnows, man. I mean, lights out.
Yeah.
Bring a bunch of them. Because the yellows will eat them, the bass will eat them. I've caught Dorado there. The Dorado will eat them. Everything will eat them there. So Salt Pro Minnows, and get creative. Whatever color sounds good. We make a lot of different colors.
Yeah.
So not necessarily every color that we have that looks good for the West Coast, which will tend to work. But be creative. You may able to see one of our other colors, like bunker or something like that you've never tried before. Something new, something different will work out really, really good for you sometimes. Bubblegum's a great color as well.
Yeah.
We make that bubblegum, so there's a lot there.
Yeah, the main thing for Cedros and fishing Mexico is, the fish are a lot larger down there, a lot meaner, so you need to bump up your gear, like Mark said. Instead of fishing a medium to medium heavy rod, you need to fish a heavy to extra heavy. Instead of fishing, 20 to 30 pound leader, which a lot of guys fish local, you need to fish
I said straight.
50 to 80 pound or
straight braid.
Or straight braid.
Straight braid, just straight braid it. Make sure when you are tying your knots or tying the thing on there that you go through the eye of the hook twice if you're using straight braid. If you don't, they will slip. So you go through twice. You can do a double San Diego jam. You can do a Palomar or just a improved like trialing knot. Those are good. Just make sure you go through the eye of the hook or the split ring twice.
Cool.
But
someone asked a question. You mentioned the frame, the handle, and the clicker different on the Saltis and Saltiga. Are the gears and the ratios the same?
on the Saltiga?
Saltis and Saltiga.
Yeah, actually the gearing's the exact same. We both use brass gears. The gear ratios are basically the same. It's basically off the same chassis. However, the Saltiga is a machined aluminum frame, where the Saltis is a die-cast anodized frame. And mainly what that does is that the machine frame is a lot more precision. There's a lot less flex. Even though it's aluminum, it's a different type of aluminum. So that's where the cost difference really starts to change up. The Saltiga is going to be a little bit more precision, a little bit smoother, where the Saltis is still a smooth reel. And you probably wouldn't notice the difference in the smoothness unless you had both in your hands, but it's not going to be quite as precision. So depending on what you can afford, what you're looking for, they both are smooth. If you had one hand with the Saltis in it and the other one is Saltiga, you'll definitely see the difference on that.
Yep. And then someone asked, do you guys also have a page to follow, YouTube, Facebook, etc.? We do. We have pretty much everything. We have a Twitter, a Facebook, an Instagram, and we also have a YouTube page. So Daiwa USA, if you guys want to check out the latest products that we're introducing, or any questions, you can reach out to us through the Daiwa USA page.
Yeah, and also our webpage is awesome. It has all the stuff there, updated, very cool videos and stuff like that too.
Definitely. Let's see. Someone is asking, why such a big handle on the Lexa?
Well, there's a couple reasons why. We actually make two different types of handles. On that handle, that's our power handle. For the most part, the HDs all come with the power handle now. And that's because you can get a little bit more torque. If you're pulling on a fish, it allows you to give that extra torque. And if you're reeling back fast, you don't slip off. So it's not a small handle knob. You can get onto it like that. I don't have a paddle handle, but we do have those on the Lexa Winds. I don't have one here on the boat. But a lot of guys like that, especially for bass fishing, where the fish aren't huge, but you need that nice consistent rotation, and it's evenly balanced. This has the torque and power, but you don't quite have the balance, even though it is counterweighted.
Cool. And then the next question is, what braid weight works best on the Lexa 400 fishing Catalina?
You go first, and I'll see if I agree with you. It's kind of what you want. But
yeah,
you go first.
Depends what you're doing. Either 50 or 65 pound is what I do. Just depends what you're fishing for. If you're fishing really heavy cover, I'd go 65. If you're fishing, open water, want a little bit more line capacity, you can go with 50 pound.
Yeah, I tend to use 50 on everything. 50 still is really tough to break, and I feel I can get a longer cast and get more action out of the lure with the 50 pound over the 65.
Yeah. So real quick on the braid, guys, we have 3 different types of braid out. We have this 4 carrier, which is going to be really abrasion resistant, really rough. It's good for fishing around the kelp. So this will cut through the kelp if you're sea bass fishing or yellowtail fishing. This is what you're going to want on your reel. This is kind of the most popular for us saltwater guys out here. Has been most popular in the past. Really good bang for your buck. We also have our 8 carrier. A lot of the freshwater guys with spinning rods like to use this. This is going to be quiet through the guides. It's not going to be as rough, so it won't cut through the kelp as easily, but good for spinning reels. And then we just introduced our J-Braid Grand, which is kind of best of both worlds. This is a new material called Isonos. So this is actually 4 times more abrasion resistant than our 4 carrier. So it's going to hold up really good if you're rubbing on rocks or any hard bottom down there. This is actually a new line, like I mentioned, so it's best of both worlds. It's quiet through the guides, but also abrasion resistant. Guys fishing down in Mexico for calicos have really liked this stuff. Works good on both a bait casting reel, conventional reel, or a spinning reel. So you can put this on pretty much everything. And
it comes in that cool color that we came up with called Gray Light, which is kind of a grayish tone. It still gives its visibility to a point, but if you're an offshore fisherman and you get up early in the morning or late at night, you can still see it going into the water. So you kind of have the best of both worlds. You've got some kind of invisibility to a point, but still some, when it's above the water, you can actually see it. And we tend to match those braids up now with our J Fluoro. Come in here as well. This is 25 pound J Fluoro, and then we got 40 pound there as well. Great fluorocarbon. We do these. This is a 50-yard spool. The 20 pound and below come in a 100-yard spool. It's got the cool band on it. As you can see, there's a band there with the little hole, so it's easy to manage. It doesn't unfold on you or anything like that. Very abrasion resistant, ties great, good knots, great knot strength, good diameter, and we've been very, very successful in this category the last couple of years. I think the guys bought a ton of it at the Fred Hall show. Well, yep. I would say Fred Hall shows, but let's just stick with the Fred Hall show right now. But great fluorocarbon, really good, guys, and at a great price too.
All right, Wayne wants to know, what is the difference on the Saltis back bay reel?
That's a good question. So back bay, it's funny, we're getting all this spinning tackle. It's great to see the spinning tackle come in. Been doing this a long time, and everybody said, nobody's ever going to use spinning tackle on the West Coast. But I think it does have its opportunity now, and people are realizing the benefits of it. So the difference on the back bay, I don't really know what I want to compare it to if you're comparing it Saltis to Saltis. The main thing on the back bay is that it does have our mag seal technology, which is a mag seal that has a magnetic oil that doesn't allow water to travel down the shaft into the one-way roller bearing or into the gear set. That's a definite benefit for saltwater fishing. It lasts a long time, so it's not something that'll go out on you. A lot of companies use rubber seals on that. What tends to be on a rubber seal is you tend to feel resistance. This is an oil bubble, so that's a good feature on that. The other thing that it uses is our cold forge aluminum main gear with a brass gear, so it's a very good, decent gear quality. All an aluminum frame, and that frame is not painted, it's anodized, so it's kind of really one of those reels that'll hold up a long time. We came out with back bay to really kind of focus on the southeast. and in the back bay seaboard or sea areas throughout Florida, fishing snook, redfish, speckled trout, jacks, that kind of stuff. We do it in 2 sizes. We do a 3,000 size and a 4,000 size, but that whole category was designed for guides in Florida to fish really hard, really big fish in hot weather with lots of salinity. So those are the differences. The actual Saltis that we have, it has similarities to it, but it has zinc gears rather than the back bay with the cold forged aluminum gears.
Cool. We got another question here. Let's see.
This is fun. I'm getting sunburned too.
Yeah, getting a tan today.
Shirt's coming off.
What setup do you recommend for Socal Tuna? If I had to have one setup for Socal Tuna, it would be a Saltis 35 or 40 with a Proteus. You can either go with the Proteus boat rod or the Proteus wind rod, and either an 8-foot medium heavy or heavy is what I like to fish. You can do a lot with that rod. You can fish bait, you can throw jigs. I like an 8-foot rod with a 35 or 40 size Saltis reel or Saltiga.
Yep.
That would be my go-to setup for SoCal for tuna fishing, fishing the islands. Super versatile.
I agree. I'm kind of the same thing. I think I would agree the same. That's kind of the same deal. I know that Dwayne Diego, he's a big guy with Daiwa. He's using the Saltiga or the Saltis, either one on that end, but it works out well for him. So that's kind of what I use. Same deal.
Cool. Another question says, do you use your 2-speed Saltis for a yo-yo rig? Saw you mention using a Saltis, or was that just the Star Drag? So for fishing the yo-yo, I prefer a Star Drag. You don't really need that 2-speed unless you're fishing, way down south where those yellows are, 60, 80 pounds. For anything up to 40, 50-pound yellows, I fish just a Star Drag. The 40 size is good for that. You want a higher gear ratio, so we make it in 2 different gear ratios, a 5.1 and I think it's a 6.3 or 6.4. So you're going to want that 6.4 gear ratio. You get more inches per crank. But yeah, I would just go with the Star Drag on that.
Yeah, I also like the Star Drag too because it's immediate in and out of gear. The thing I have with lever drags is I don't like that, 1.5 to 2 inches of throw from, into gear, that throw. I like to drop it in and out of gear, especially dropping yo-yo jigs where I can drop it down, and as soon as I either get a bit on the drop or I get to where I want to be, I just click it in gear and it's immediately in gear. I don't have to throw it forward and then reel and then feel it back or anything of that nature. Oh, you got laughs. What do they say?
Tim DeGroot wants to know.
No.
He wants to know where you can buy your hat.
He's my hat salesman. I'll set you up.
Cool. I think that's it for questions. People are wondering about new products.
Oh, we love to talk about this. Is such a big year for the West Coast, but unfortunately we got to keep our mouths shut for a couple more months. But I can just tell you this, guys, it is going to be an amazing year for Daiwa on the West Coast. So take it however you want, but come July, you're going to see some stuff that's really going to get you guys excited. I kid you not.
Yeah. You guys may not know, but ICAST is where most of the large manufacturers launch their products. That's been canceled this year due to the coronavirus. So we'll be launching our products virtually, online through our website and social media. So keep an eye out for that. But
yeah,
July is a time frame where we'll be launching those new products. So
yeah, Daiwa's really here in the last 4 years have taken on to the saltwater market. It takes time. You can't just throw a product out there. So we've been doing a lot of product development and testing and spending a lot of time all over the country. And unfortunately, I get to work on that side of it. I actually get to do marketing and also products research and product development. And we've done a good job, and it's going to be a great year. Keep your eyes open. You'll be able to probably get on the ICAST virtual tour live. I would assume that's going to probably be for everybody. We're still learning a little bit what's going on with ICAST, but July's a big time frame. Keep your eyes open for that. Lots of cool stuff. Kid you not.
cool.
Very big saltwater year for Daiwa. We've been so bass focused for so many years. This will be a big saltwater year. Great products. So
I think we're through questions. If you
right.
want to talk a little bit about the bluefin fishing that's going on right now.
Yeah, it's the best thing would be for me to get out there, but I haven't been able to do that. But yeah, it sounds like it's pretty good. It sounds like there's a little bit of fish above the line, back and forth. Maybe there's more than that. I don't know.
Yeah. So tuna fishing's really heated up. There's some bluefin south of the border and starting to work its way up the line as that red tide clears out. So anywhere from 50 to 200 pound fish right now. They're biting dead flyers. They're biting mackerel on the kite. They were biting poppers a little bit earlier, but not so much anymore. Most of it's kite fishing. With that being said, you guys want to have a kite set up? I fish the 750 on a kite rod. This is going to save your arms from winding in and out all day. Really good investment. This is 750 size. We put usually 65-pound braid on there.
Yeah.
That way you can fly the kite nice and far away from the boat if you're, skipping the rubber yummy, or if you're, going to slow troll that dead flying fish. This will also get the job done. So this is great for flying the kite. You can fly your AFCO kites, your Boston big game kites. You can fly it all with this Tanacom 750.
Yeah, I actually brought mine out, which is a little bit different. I'm using a little bit more expensive reel. This is actually the Seaborg. This is the 500 that I was talking to you about. Much smaller, great for guys with a smaller boat. But I actually go with 50-pound, which is a little bit light for a lot of guys with the kite. But I'm on a private boat. That 50-pound will actually allow it to fly even better. I use a smaller. Now this one's exceptionally small, but I'll actually put on about 30 or 40 feet of monofilament on there. But what I do is, instead of actually using a swivel, because we're only using pretty much one slide right now, is that I tie a nice little splice there, as you can see. I don't know if you can see from here. See that splice still there? And then I'll use a couple little type of beads there to keep it from sliding down and hitting there. And then this is when I tied the kite. I did this short so you guys could see this, so I didn't have to pull off a bunch of line. But you can see it stops right there. And this will pass real easy in and out of the level wind, especially on this reel because the level wind's a little smaller. But it's easy to store in my boat. It's lightweight. It's just easier to use. This reel tends to be a lot faster also than the Tanacom, but it's a lot more money. You're looking at about $1,400, $1,500. So a little bit more money on that.
Yeah, and one nice thing with the kite setups, whether you're fishing the Seaborg or the Tanacom, is they have an auto stop.
Yeah,
so if
huge.
You get hooked up to a bluefin, you got 1 or 2 guys on the boat. If you're on a skiff or a smaller boat, all you got to do is push that lever up, and that kite's going to automatically start coming in. Then you can focus on fighting the fish. As soon as that kite gets within distance of your boat, the reel's automatically going to stop, so it's not going to continue to wind that kite into your reel. So it does everything for you, basically. You just flip that lever up and your kite's on its way in.
Yeah, that's a huge thing, because people kind of get scared and they're afraid that they're going to pretty much reel their fish through the guides and blow up their rod, but we have that feature on this. Some of the bigger commercial stuff that you'll see out there that the guys are using for swordfish don't have that stop. That's the scary thing. If you're not paying attention, you're just going to blow your rod up and it's going to be a disaster.
Yeah.
And you're going to probably lose the fish.
Cool.
I heard that swordfish started to bite a little bit too, so that's another opportunity. God, that was a whole new fishery last year that got a lot of people excited. You got one right when it went out.
Yeah, got lucky, right place, right time, got a swordfish on the Seaborg 1200. Looks like they're starting to show up. There's been a few caught locally here. So if you guys are itching to get out, go get a swordfish, hit up your local tackle shop and pick up a Seaborg 1200 and a marine power rod and a couple squids and a weight and get out there and be patient.
and don't worry. People's like, wow, that's not fishing because you have to use an electric reel. I get it. I understand that too. But you don't have to catch the fish using the electric portion of the reel. If you want to reel the fish in, you can reel it in. Yep. It just allows you, when you're dropping, 6, 8, 10, maybe even 12 pounds of weight, but for the most part, 8 and 10 has been the sweet spot out here. You don't have to reel that up from 1,800 feet of water, 1,400 feet of water. It just makes that port of the day real quick and easy rather than sit there and do that.
Yeah.
But when you hang the fish, put it in and go for it. Enjoy your day.
Yeah, and on that swordfish thing, a lot of times those swordfish are eating the bait and swimming straight to the surface. So with that electric reel, you can power up and make sure you catch all that line up. If you don't wind fast enough, that swordfish gets to the surface before you come tight, it's going to shake the hook. So you can use that electric capability to pick up all that loose line as it's swimming to the surface. Once it gets to the surface, you come tight, you can disconnect from power and fight it by hand, which is what I did with mine.
Yeah, the Seaborgs will sit at about 52, 53 pounds of drag. The Tanacoms, now they're not really a swordfish reel. I wouldn't suggest anybody to invest in a Tanacom for sword fishing. It's more deep drop and kite. But they sit about 33 pounds of drag. But if you are going to go down that route, the Seaborg is the reel that you need to catch a swordfish, unless you go into rigger traditional conventional gear. And you'll do that a couple times and realize that you don't want to do that anymore.
Cool. We're going to jump back into some questions. If you guys have questions about what's going on out there fishing-wise or product-wise on Daiwa, feel free to chime in and leave a comment.
Yep.
I think it was, let's see, it was...
I'm glad you're doing that because I couldn't manage both, Alex. I guarantee you. I guess I'm falling into that I'm getting older category.
Hold on. Lots of questions coming in right now.
Oh, they're coming in hot.
Yeah. Someone wanted to know if we make surf rods.
Oh yeah, it's actually my favorite type of fishing. Maybe not for surf fishing out here in Southern California. I don't do it as much anymore. After the whole MLPA situation, it ruined all my surf spots in Laguna. So remember, focus and work with CCA so you don't have to deal with that and not be able to fish anymore. But yeah, we make a lot of different types of surf rods, from the Salta series for fishing jerkbaits in the surf. Depending what type of surf fishing do they do you know?
Arnold just asked if you make surf rods, but like Mark said, yeah, we make light surf rods for fishing lighter baits, salt pro minnows, smaller jerk baits, and then we make heavier surf rods, you know, for bait fishing or throwing heavy sinkers with bait out in the surf. But we make different surf rods from, you know, $20 up to $300-400 surf rods. So we got you covered depending on your technique and your price range.
Yeah, I spend every year, I go to Cabo in November. Wesley from Cabo Surfcasters, one of my good buddies, him and I fished every trip down there. I love fishing roosterfish, Sierra, Jacks, all that stuff. I use about a 10-foot coastal surf rod, and I match it up with a 6,000 ballistic and 30-pound test J-braid Grand, and I'm throwing poppers, skip baits, and metal jigs all the time. But that's, if you get an opportunity and you want to do a relatively inexpensive trip and you're going down to Cabo and you got the family and you want to spend a few hours, get up in the morning, drive down to Todos Santos and fish that area, it's amazing fishing. It's just so much fun.
Cool. Wayne wants to know, what bags or tackle bags do you guys have, especially the backpack?
Yeah, well, it's nice to keep those in stock. We've been killing it on those backpacks. That was a category that we decided to get into 3 years ago for fun. We said, hey, you know, want to start building some bags. So we did. It's been good. That backpack's been great for, you know, we kind of built it for guys fishing on the West Coast, but we found out all these pond ninjas love it. So we do our Daiwa tactical gear, and the backpack runs about $149. We sold a bunch at the Fred Hall show. Actually, we sold out at the Fred Hall Long Beach show. It's great. You can come down from the parking lots. You know, Dana Point here is awesome because it's so close to park. But other landings, you got to walk a long ways. You can put your rods in it. You can hold your rods, put your tackle in it, go down to the boat, slide it forward. It works great for bass fishing. But this year, we've got a really new, cool bag coming out. Can't wait to show you guys in July. But if you like to bring a lot of tackle, say you're one of those guys that doesn't have a boat and you need to bring all your tackle, nowadays when you do have to bring a lot of tackle, because you're going tuna fishing, do I bring poppers? Do I bring surface iron? Do I bring slide baits? Do I bring the stuff to rig for my unit? You don't know what you're going to do. Or am I just going to go fish kelps and catch yellows? You never know, so you got to bring a lot. We've got a bag that holds more boxes than any other bag in the market at such a small size. And if you're a bass guy and you're sitting in the side console, you can put it right in front of you and grab everything. It's a great new bag, whole new design. Check that out in July.
Yeah, and we have, you know, jig totes, we have the backpack, we have front loading bags, we have just the normal tackle bags, we have coolers. Definitely check them out on the website. You can see our full line of all of our accessories. You know, we make pliers, we make rod wraps, we make the whole line of products.
Yeah, we've got new organizing bags that are clear, great for putting hooks in. So they're a clear bag. All of our clear plastic that we use on our bags and some of our boxes, all is marine grade isinglass. And it's kind of something that I came up with working with our supplier to use isinglass marine grade so it doesn't scratch. It looks good, but you can put hooks in it, you can put swim baits in it, it won't melt, it won't get screwed up. Those are organizing bags. We do those in a medium, large, and extra large. So great bags. They start at about $9.99 and go up to like $12.99. They're zippered. They're not 100% waterproof, but they're water resistant, but they're not like a Ziploc bag. So they actually have a full zipper on them so they don't tear apart and come apart or anything, but they're great.
Cool. And then another question, someone wants to know if the Lexa Wind can be used for freshwater as well as saltwater.
100%. Guys, now the Lexa Wind is totally designed for either or. If you're a freshwater guy and you're throwing swim baits, obviously it's a great swim bait reel. Guys that are throwing big crankbaits, you know, 10 XDs, 8 XDs, any of the cool big Strike King stuff. I think Lucky Craft's making some good big deep diving crankbaits. Some of the stuff from Evergreen too work really well. And now the whole A-rig phenomenon. So if you have any of that, Lexa 300 is where I would go. Gear ratio, being that it's a bass. The Lexa Winds, we do a 5-to-1 in the Lexa Winds. I would either do 5-to-1 or 6-to-1. I wouldn't quite go to 7 or 8. I think it's just a little fast for a freshwater bass.
Yep. And then someone also asked, what's the difference between the Lexa Wind and the Lexa HD? So the main difference is the Lexa HD has stainless steel gear in it versus the Lexa Wind has a hardened brass gear. So if you're throwing poppers for big bluefin or surface iron for big yellows, I'd recommend the HD. If you're fishing calicos or inshore, not fishing as much during the year, the Lexa wind's going to be, more than enough for what you're doing. That's the main difference, is the gear in them. That's where you see the difference in price. That stainless steel gear is going to be a lot harder gear. The brass gear is going to be a little bit smoother, but not quite as durable as that stainless steel gear.
Yeah, and most of the competition in that expanded reel category uses the brass gear, so it's still a good quality gear, but that stainless steel gear is a little bit harder material, pulling big baits, pulling on bigger fish. The 300s and 400s, especially the 400s, the guys are fishing poppers for tuna now and catching 100, 105 pounders, so, you don't know what that reel's going to do, but it can do a lot.
Cool. And then we got another question from Kevin. He wants to know, what's the smallest, lightest spinning reels you recommend for yellowtail?
I would have to probably go into like a 3 or probably a 4,000 is probably the sweet spot. 4,000, and depending on price, I would probably say a 4,000 ballistic is a great reel. That's going to be the lightest.
Yep. It's
It's made out of a material called Zion, which is a straight carbon fiber type material. The benefit of the carbon fiber Zion is that it's very rigid, so you don't get a lot of flex. You won't have any stem flex. I don't have a spinning reel in front of me right now, but a lot of reels that if you grab on the stem of the reel, you'll see that flex. Zion doesn't flex. It's almost as hard as aluminum, but it's much lighter and more corrosion resistant, so that works great. They do run a little bit more expensive. They're about $250 in that range. If you don't have that type of money, I'd suggest a 4,000 or 4,500 BG or Saltis. That's an aluminum frame, but it's going to be about twice the weight of the Zion.
Yeah, definitely the ballistic. I use those ballistics for inshore. We have some guides that use them out at Catalina, and they love them in that 4,000 to 6,000 size for yellow. You can't find a lighter spinning reel that'll handle those yellows.
No, Jerry Mayhew uses all those ballistics. I think he's using the 4,000, a couple 5,000s as well for that. And on that, I would really suggest 30-pound J-braid. That's kind of the sweet spot. You could go to 40, but 30-pound J-braid with some 20 to 30-pound fluorocarbon, small liter of it, you're going to catch your fish.
Yep. If you guys are into fishing live bait, we also have a new reel, the MCAS Bite and Run, which has that live bait feature, which is great for fishing yellows, and we make that in a 5,000 size, which is great for fishing local kelp beds or any of the islands for calicos, barracuda, and the yellows over there. So.
Yeah, and it comes in at a great price. MSRP on that's $99.
Yep.
Fish is good. We did a ton of testing in Lyle and Marauder for about a year, catching blackfin tuna on it, and Dorado, and snook, and tarpon, and it's been a great product.
Cool. All right, well, we got through all the questions. If
Cool.
you guys have questions, continue to ask.
Yep.
We'll answer them as you guys ask the questions. So we're still up to 70 viewers, which is cool.
That's
We've
good.
been fluctuating between 70 and 100 people watching, which is cool.
Wow. Good job. What time is it?
We have 10 minutes
Oh,
left.
we got 10 minutes left. Perfect. Right on. Good deal. This has been fun. I kind of like doing this. It's kind of neat.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, where'd Mills go? I've just been traveling so much with Daiwa now that I haven't been at the staple Southern California guy as I've been in the past few years, but we've been doing a lot of fishing, a lot of testing.
Yeah. If you guys are just tuning in, we're down here at Dana Point Harbor. We're on one of the boats, the Current, down here. They're a boat that we sponsor, and they fish our gear down here, so we wanted to go live from somewhere that you guys can relate to. So if you guys have been down here, we're down at Dana Wharf Sport Fishing.
Yep.
All the boats are sitting at the dock. Hopefully they can get off the dock soon and go fishing, take you guys out on the water. But for now, we're staying safe and social distancing and getting ready for the season to open up.
Yep.
Cool. Anything else you wanted to?
God, we hit a lot of it. There was a lot of talking in an hour on that, but
Oh, here's a good question.
okay.
Let's see. Someone's asking if we have a controlled casting reel. We do have controlled casting reels. It's going to be on the freshwater side. Tatula SV has our SV technology, which is super versatile. So that reel you can cast and take your thumb off the brake, and it's basically backlash proof. The way that works is as you over rev the spool, the magnets go further into the magnetic raceway, slowing down the reel for you. So
Yeah.
we do have some cast control or controlled casting reels, but they're on the freshwater side. On the saltwater side, we do have a braking system in a lot of our, Lexas and Saltis, which is really efficient. So you can tune them in and pretty much get them dialed into where you don't need to use your thumb as much either.
Right, and we exit on the Lexas. We use our MagForce. The SV has SV technology and air brake system that works both. It's a unique system. It uses both magnetic technology, and it also works with centrifugal technology. It uses both, so it's a very cool system on that. And also that T-wing that we have on our bass rods, you're going to see it on the coastal rod, the coastal SV. That T-wing system really makes it nice. One, it improves distance. I think I can show you here. I may have that reel just so you guys see and understand this. So I'm going to try and come in hot here, but let's see if we can get this right up here. So if you can see here, most reels have a level wind that's a solid round level wind. The T-wing system is shaped like a T. When it's in free spool, it allows the line to travel. It doesn't have to travel as far this way. So what that does, that one, it gives you a longer cast, less resistance, but what it also does is as the line goes far to the left or far to the right, either or, your line tends to slow down when that happens, but your spool does not. And that tries you to put more pressure on your thumb and also can kind of relate to a backlash. So that T-wing, one, gives you longer distance and backlash reduction. A lot.
Yep. Cool. A couple other questions coming in. Someone wants to know, they have a few of our lever drag reels. They want to know how often you should get them serviced. Depends how much you fish. We recommend at least getting them serviced once a year. During the off season's a good time, so before the summer, depending on your market where you're at. But on the West Coast, try and get them in. Around this time of the year is usually a pretty good time to get your reels serviced, April, May, before the season really gets going. But I like to get mine serviced once a year. The Daiwa reels hold up really well. I fish really hard on a small skiff, take a lot of salt water over the rails.
You can take
on
a look
the
at all
reels.
your rods. They're all scaled up.
They get beat up pretty hard. I get them serviced once a year. It's mainly the drags and the bearings, just want to keep them fresh. But yeah, once a year is what I would recommend.
Yeah, a light spray down. Don't get creative. Don't put a ton of pressure on it. Just like any other reels in the market, the competitors would say the same type of scenario. Don't blow a ton of water into your reel. That's actually worse than not rinsing it off. Just a light spray, just a nice light mist, and then wipe it down. Works really, really well. You don't really have to spray it off with anything, but that's what I do. Just a light spray.
Cool. Yeah, the guys are loving the T-wing on here. They wanted to know what reel this is. This is our Coastal 200. This is a really good reel for fishing San Diego Bay, also along the coast for calicos, inshore. It does have that really cool T-wing feature Mark talked about. We also make this in a smaller size now, in a 100 size frame with a 150 size spool with that SV technology we're talking about. But for the guys that want to fish in the bay for spotties, calicos, halibut, and then take this out and fish calicos and barracuda, and if you do hook a small yellow, you have a chance at landing it on this reel. But this is the Coastal 200. It's been a really popular reel. You do all your braking from this dial right here, which is really nice and convenient.
Yeah. What's important too, and I'll tell the guys when they get this, so there's a lot of competition out there that when you loosen up the cast control knob, which is right here, a lot of guys tend to loosen this up a lot and they want this real loose. Daiwas don't tend to like that way. Magnetic reels don't. So my suggestion to you is take this advice, get it to where you have full free spool and virtually no movement, and do all your adjustments right here on the side. I can't see if I'm seeing you there, but right here on the side. So make sure that there's no sound, no movement, but full free spool. And then you have from 0, which is full free spool, to 20, which is most free spool, you're not going to backlash. And then find your sweet spot depending on what rod you have, the wind conditions, if you're casting in the wind, with the wind, or the aerodynamics of the bait. That'll all make a difference on how you're fishing this. But all in all, this is a great reel. This is the reel I use for, like I said, I got 70 of these. That's all I use for calico bass. And that SV is really good for the bay bass guys that want to skip under docks or under ropes. The SV makes it really easy to skip baits.
Cool. And then Ryan had a question, what's a good reel for the Channel Islands? Your fishery up there is very similar to where we are down here. I'll call it SoCal. You're pretty much Central Cal, SoCal. I'd look at the Saltis or Saltiga in the 30 to 40 size. You're fishing a lot of that same stuff up there, rockfish, sea bass, yellowtail around the island. If you're going to be fishing that, you're going to want a Saltis or a Saltiga in the 30 to 40 size, depending on what type of fish you're fishing for and how big they are. But the 35 or the 40 is my go-to. You can do everything from rock fishing to that sea bass,
Yeah.
dropper loop fishing to throwing iron. So
Great setup. Or like that Elevate rod works really good for the reds. You know, in the winter months, if you're fishing, and you can go to a lighter one like an 80 gram instead of a 150 or 100, and let it flutter down and get bit really good. Those reds tend to hit it on the drop better than anything else. Some of the other stuff that's out there.
cool. Someone asked, are we going to see Daiwa sponsored fishing trips?
You are going to see some Daiwa sponsored fishing trips coming down the road in the next year or so. We are planning on some pretty cool stuff. We had to get to where we want to be on the saltwater side. We're getting there. So. I think those are important. I think we're going to start seeing that. And hopefully you'll come out there and, you know, we can do some stuff with CCA and everything else and do some stuff. I think CCA actually has their tournament on one of the Dana Wharf boats. So you'll probably see some Daiwa stuff on that.
Yeah, we've done a couple trips in the past. We are involved with Western Outdoor News. We're doing some sponsored trips with them. So if you guys hop on those, they may have some Daiwa gear on there. We're also getting more involved with CCA, as you guys know and can see. We'll be sponsoring some trips through them, through the Orange County chapter and some of the other chapters as well. As we get more involved in that saltwater market, you'll see more sponsored trips out of San Diego, the Channel Islands, things like that. So, yeah, we definitely want to do more sponsored trips.
You see some long-range stuff coming down the road as well, you know, 8 and 10 days. So save your pennies. Get out there with those guys.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well, it's been an hour. If there's any other questions, looks like we got through all the questions. We got through pretty much all the topics. CCA's posting. They have their Socal Charter Challenge, which I was involved with last year. It was super fun. If you guys haven't done a charter challenge trip or a sponsored trip, they're really beneficial. You get to fish with some cool people in your area. You get to fish against some other chapters, which is really cool.
Socal, smack them.
Yeah, and you get to meet some cool people. So
Yeah.
definitely get involved. If you guys haven't been on any of the Western Outdoor News trips or CCA trips, you can find all the information on their website. Cool.
Well, perfect. Well, I want to thank everybody that's tuned in. I appreciate it. I appreciate the questions. You never know. It's kind of one of the first times I've done it here on the boat, a live feed, and I appreciate everybody doing it, coming in, their interest in Daiwa Tackle, their support towards CCA. Keep that going. Support the deckhands and the skippers and our fishery here. We're going to have obviously it's been a rough year for them, but hopefully we get it turned on and go out and do some fishing. It looks like we're going to have a good year. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you guys for your time, and hopefully we can do more of these in the future. And if you have any questions about Daiwa, you can check out our Instagram, Facebook, our website, and yeah, hopefully we get on the water soon.
Yeah, or message me directly, Marc Mills. I think most of you people on Facebook know where I'm at. So have a good one, guys. Thank you very much. Enjoy your evening and have a great dinner.